But here for fantasy, we're going to talk about some players, Jay, that have struggled, that you were drafting high, that you have drafted high. And so my question is you starting or sitting them this week? They would, you entered the season thinking these guys were going to be starters for you. They are not. So are you going to keep it open?
Yes.
Continue to start them?
Yes.
Or are you going to close it out? Again, none of these are guys we're saying drop, but are you starting or sitting them for this week? And number one on the list?
DJ Moore, who we're expecting now with a real quarterback, a professional quarterback in Baker Mayfield, was going to take a bit of a leap. He hasn't. He's longing for Sam Darnold. He's the first football player in a long time to be longing for Sam Darnold.
Is there a bigger insult to an NFL player, to an NFL quarterback, than like there's a longing for Sam Darnold?
Sam.
Like, where are you at, Sam Darnold?
Yeah, I think you have to keep playing DJ Moore. You have to keep starting him. But I would be concerned that Baker Mayfield has looked this bad through 2 weeks. I know it's early. I know he signed with the team late. But at the same time, he's barely completing 50% of his passes. He's taking almost 3 seconds to throw the ball, which is fine if you're Jalen Hurts. It's not fine if you're Baker Mayfield. And it's not like a lot of players have put up bad stats at the quarterback position with bad luck in forming those stats. Not really for Baker. Only 1 dropped pass. Offensive line has been fine and is keeping him clean. He's just been bad, and DJ Moore is bearing the brunt of that.
There's no question about it, but I agree. I think you need to start him. Look, I'm at wide receiver 24, which is significantly in my initial ranks, which is certainly lower than I had him coming into the preseason. So by my ranks, he's a upper tier wide receiver 3. But generally speaking, unless you have 2 really good wide receivers that you feel good about it, I'm still starting him. Like, he got the touchdown last week, which bailed you out. Like, he's at least had somewhat of a floor. And you think about the first 2 games that the Carolina Panthers have played. They played against the Browns and the Giants. 2 low-scoring offenses, so it got into a little bit of a slugfest. They played the Saints, and I think the Saints will do better offensively against a bad Panthers defense than either the Giants or the Browns. So I do think they're going to have to throw and open up this offense more. I know people are concerned about Lattimore, but the fact of the matter is DJ Moore moves all over the field. I don't think this is going to – he'll see some Lattimore, but this isn't going to be a true shadow situation. I think you'll see Lattimore on Robbie Anderson some as well, because they'll put DJ Moore in the slot. They'll move him all over and get him open. Again, you think about this upcoming schedule: Saints, Cardinals, Niners, Rams. It's a tough schedule over the next 4, but I do think – at least 3 of those 4 teams, right, Saints, Cardinals, and Rams, should be able to score at will on Carolina.
Yes.
So they are going to have to throw, and when they're throwing, I think they're going to throw to DJ Moore. I'm still in on DJ Moore.
Yep, I agree. You just have to grit and bear it.
He's had over 1,200 scrimmage yards each of the last 3 years with the ghost of Cam Newton and Sam Darnold, and quarterbacks that are as, none of them are better than Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
I'm still a Baker fan. I still believe Baker will get there.
He can't get any worse as well.
Right.
And the thing is, too, is that when your team is a catastrophe, which is what the Carolina offense is right now, catastrophe triggers change. Something will change. They'll change their offense, how it works. They'll change the personnel. They'll figure it out, and they'll get better than they are right now, we presume. Now,
catastrophe, what did you say? Catastrophe, what changes?
Triggers change, I think
triggers change.
Yeah.
Catastrophe triggers change.
Yeah.
Except here. We're still doing the same show. Juju Smith-Schuster has been, last week was wide receiver 64. He's so far on the season, he's wide receiver 64, averaging 8 points per game. Had the nice game against the Cardinals in week 1, 6 for 79, but just 3 for 10 in that Thursday night game against the Chargers last week. Where are we on Juju Smith-Schuster?
Yeah, I think after week 1, we both thought that he was going to be the guy. He's clearly a tier above as we look at the stats last week, where in terms of the target percentage, Juju only at 8.8 target percentage, whereas Travis Kelce and MVS both sitting just above 20%. Look, the Chiefs, the offense wasn't very good against the Chargers. I know they got the win, but they get the pick 6. It just wasn't that good. I think it will be better. There will be more yards floating around. And the whole thing about Patrick Mahomes is that Patrick Mahomes is defense agnostic. It shouldn't matter what defense is on the field against him. He should be able to compile stats. Juju, not the best start across the first 2 weeks, but I think you have to ride it out. I still think he's the receiver that you want.
Not only do I think he's the receiver you want, I think he actually could have a bit of a breakout game here. Again, think about the Colts. Think about Christian Kirk last week, who had such a monster game out of the slot going against Indianapolis. Well, Juju plays a lot out of the slot. They've had out of the slot, I should say, and they've had 10 days to prepare for this game. The Chiefs have. again, the stat we gave, you weren't here, you were off boondoggling or whatever it is you do. But I was here with Connor Rogers, who shows up. Like, he's there when you need him, Jay. Just something helpful hint, something to think about. And but we talked about this with Connor, and the fact is, after the game, I'm like, look, Tyreek Hill, the great Tyreek Hill, still had 6 different games last year where he had single-digit fantasy points. So if Tyreek Hill has that kind of inconsistency in this Chiefs offense, it's going to happen for guys that aren't as good as Tyreek Hill, including Juju Smith-Schuster. I think I'm as a mid-tier wide receiver 3, but I think that when my love-hate comes out tomorrow, you will see Juju in the others receiving votes category as well. I think you can attack the slot against the Indianapolis Colts. So let's move on to Chicago now and Darnell Mooney. So, sorry, for the first two, for DJ Moore, I'm not playing along with a bit. For DJ Moore and Juju Smith-Schuster, we are both saying keep it open.
Yes.
Keep it open.
Darnell Mooney, though, I think there's a little bit more scope to close it out. What are you doing with Darnell Mooney? You're done.
We're closing it out on Darnell Mooney. He looks terrible.
Poor Darnell Mooney.
I don't think it's his fault, but this was a stat that someone gave me, which is I believe that Cooper Kupp has more targets than
Dwayne McFarland.
Dwayne McFarland. Oh, here you go. Here's the tweet on the screen here. So my buddy Dwayne McFarland wrote this. In the year 2022 of professional gridiron football, Cooper Kupp has more targets, 29, than Justin Fields has pass attempts at 28.
Can we get Cooper Kupp to be the offensive coordinator of the Bears?
Or even the quarterback.
Or the quarterback.
Anyway, good tweet from @Dwayne McFarland. He's a worthy follow.
Very good follow.
There on the Twitter machine. They're just not throwing. The offense looks awful. They're playing Houston. Everyone's like, oh, well, that's a pushover. No, it isn't.
No.
The Texans played the Colts tough in week 1. They played the Broncos tough in week 2. And I think we're still figuring out, was that the Texans playing, gritty, or was that, those two offenses that have really struggled? But somewhere in between, the fact is that there's literally nothing that we've seen out of the Bears offense as a whole, or specifically the Fields to Mooney connection, that gives you confidence that will change this week against the Houston Texans. 1 reception for 8 yards in week 1. Week 2, 1 reception for -4 yards.
Is that bad?
It's not good. It's hashtag bad. Hashtag analysis.
They were down 3 scores at half, and they had 11 pass attempts in the entire game. Someone who liked the Justin Fields over.
Whether it is a lack of confidence in Justin Fields but there's been no other player that has emerged where you think that it might open some stuff up for Mooney. Like, if you're a defensive coordinator facing the Bears, you're like, I'm just going to shut down Mooney and I'll, whatever. Like, Cole Kmet, the ghost of Cole Kmet is out there. Boo, I'm here. Anyway. So no, I think close it out on Darnell Mooney. I'm not dropping him just yet, but I'm not starting him until I see something. We have at least seen fantasy success from him previously. So, between him and Justin Fields. So I'm willing to wait it out at least another week or 2.
Yeah, there is more scope. Fields did throw the ball a lot at the end of last season. They can't just do what they did against the Packers week in, week out. He will get more usage, but you have to see it first. Now, Josh Jacobs is our next guy playing at the Titans. Higher usage than expected for Jacobs, just not getting the touchdowns or the big runs. What are you doing with Josh Jacobs?
You know what's weird is because the amount of touches he's getting, I'm actually going to keep it open. I'm not a Josh Jacobs guy, as you know, but I certainly think you can run on the Titans. They're playing Tennessee. We just saw what free Aaron Jones did against. I'm sorry, I take that back. That was on the Monday night. That was the Sunday night game. I'm getting my primetime games mixed up. We just saw what the Bills did to the Titans. Just completely dominated them in all aspects of the game. And so you can run on Tennessee. I think you can do pretty much whatever you want.
Yeah, you can do whatever you like.
It'll be big Devontae Adams games, but Josh Jacobs, who played 60% of the offensive snaps in week 1, 72% of the offensive snaps in week number 2, 19 rushes, right? He had almost 70 yards. So he's a little touchdown dependent. He's still not being involved in the passing game here, but he comes in for me as running back 20. So I'm keeping it open on Josh Jacobs. Again, you're hoping he falls into the end zone, but I think he's got, when you think about the number of touches he's getting and the percentage of offensive snaps that he's playing in a game in which the Raiders will be leading or competitive against the Titans, I don't think they get blown out, which is always the concern with Jacobs. He's kind of like a very poor man's Derrick Henry, that he's sometimes game script dependent.
Yep.
He'll be competitive in this game. I think he gets 15 to 20 touches in this game, a good shot at a touchdown. Borderline top 20 play for me against Tennessee.
I feel better about Josh Jacobs now than I did before the season,
1,000%.
to be honest, because He's just getting the touches and usage are more predictive of production going forward than just happening to break one run or happening to fall into the end zone. The touchdowns will come if he keeps on getting this amount of usage. Now, a guy who's not getting the usage that we thought that he might is Rashad Penny, who has a better matchup this week against the Falcons than against the Niners, both that team and that rush defense, but he's just not getting the carries at the moment. And now Kenneth Walker is back, and my thing with Rashad Penny is that week 1 should have been the big Rashad Penny game where they were leading the entire game against the Broncos, and he only got 12 carries.
Yeah, he played 70% of the offensive snaps, but yes, to your point, he only got 12 carries. I mean, he got 14 total touches. He did catch 2 balls there, but I know they like Kenneth Walker quite a bit. I'm not really upset about him not playing a bunch. I mean, again, it was kind of an ugly game against the Niners last week for Seattle. Low-scoring game. San Francisco's got a really good run defense. So the fact that Penny didn't do much against them, okay, but feels like it's not just Kenneth Walker, but you also see some Travis Homer in there as well. It's a little bit of a, three-headed committee in Seattle here. So if there is a get-right game for Rashad Penny, it is Atlanta. But I am at running back 41. If we get more clarity on how we think these carries get divided up over the course of the week, if we hear something from Seattle, but the fact of the matter is that you don't feel confident about this offense. I mean, I don't believe they've scored an offensive touchdown in 6 quarters.
That's bad.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you. Right. You're out of the wine country and right into analysis. The Falcons should be a get-right game, and I think the Seahawks will run effectively against the Falcons. I think it's hard to know whether it's going to be Penny or Walker or Homer or some sort of combination therein. So for me on Rashad Penny, again, I'm as a running back 4 with upside. You're hoping for a touchdown, but I think for now I'm probably keeping it closed. Not dropping him, but I'm keeping it closed until we get a better sense of what's going on in Seattle. I do know that the Seahawks love themselves some Kenny Walker. Let's talk now about Travis Etienne in Jacksonville. We thought week 1, hey, that looked great, right?
Yep.
4 for 47. He caught the 2 balls for 18 yards. Should have had 2 different touchdowns. He basically dropped a walk-in touchdown, and then he was wide open for one, and Lawrence just missed him. But in a game in which they dominated the Indianapolis Colts in week 2, he had just 12 touches in that one, 53 total yards here, played just 36% of the offensive snaps in week 2 after playing over 50% of them in week number 1. They're at the Chargers. Now, this is a game we expect them to be down and passing. So my question is, where are you on Travis Etienne, Jay? Because in theory, game script against the Chargers, I would assume the Chargers are favored in this one.
7-point favorites on
so their
BetMGM.
touchdown favorite here. Game script would seem to dictate that they'll want to be passing a lot against the Chargers to catch up, and so Etienne will be on the field a lot more. But we haven't seen it.
No. And 23 carries for James Robinson. I would have made that a significant underdog that he was ever going to get 23 carries in any game this season. And
37 to 18. That is the differential in touches between James Robinson and Travis Etienne. 37 touches to merely 18 for Travis Etienne through 2 games this season. J-Rob also has the 3 scores.
Yeah, I do think if Travis Etienne, to your point, if he just gets those 2 touchdowns in week 1,
one of them.
just one, everything looks a little bit rosier. He does look healthy. He looks fine out there, which is probably the most important thing. But, on the Jags as being effectively the running back 2 on a Jags team that is still, even in the worst division in football, they're still, in the plus 300 range to win it. They're not an elite team by any means. So I do think he has scope to grow into the role later in the season. I think being a dog to the Chargers might even help him a bit because they're going to get him more involved in the pass game. But certainly James Robinson's the guy in Jacksonville right now.
And we talked about this in the preseason, by the way. We talked about that. We thought the Etienne-Robinson split in ADP was just insane.
Yep.
Because it's like, guys, this could be a split. Peterson likes to use multiple running backs. So I don't know what to tell you here. The other problem is while they are touchdown underdogs to the Chargers, both have a good defense. That's the other problem. Both have a good defense.
Very good.
So again, Travis Etienne comes in at running back 36 for me. So I think I am keeping it closed on Travis Etienne this week. I still like James Robinson. Let's see if he can get going. But again, Etienne is a low-end flex play for me in standard leagues. Last one now, a quarterback.
Yes, Joe Burrow hasn't started off the way that everyone would have wanted for Joe Burrow, or more importantly, really for his team. Now 0-2 after two gut-wrenching losses. What are you doing with Joe Burrow this week?
I'm keeping it open. I'm still starting him. It has not been pretty. He's been sacked a ton. Obviously, he's been under pressure. The 5 turnovers against the Steelers in Week 1. A brutal loss in Week 2 to Dallas with under 200 yards passing. What's been nice though is that he's got like almost 70 yards rushing on the season. And some of that is because his protection is breaking down. He's having to take off. But that's not something we expected. We saw it some in his rookie year. We really didn't see it last year. So the fact that the rushing has returned a little bit, 4 for 26 last week, 6 for 47 in Week 1 on just the rushing alone. Now he's playing the Jets. And the Jets are a great story, and it's fun. And what a great comeback they did against the Browns last week. But still, it's a secondary you can exploit. Yep. And I am just banking on the... I thought Joe Burrow's ADP was insane as a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and through 2 weeks I've been proven right on that one. But yet, even despite the fact that the Bengals have played bad, they're 0-2, he's been bad, he's still so far a top 12 fantasy quarterback on a points per game basis. Now, some of that is because some guys have just been brutal, like the Bradys and the Rodgers of the world, but still, like even with all the mistakes, he's managed to get it done. I'm at QB 10 this week against the Jets. Remember, he played the Jets last week. He had last year, I should say, had over 20 fantasy points against the Jets last year. This is one where it's like, T. Higgins is healthy. They've got Jamar Chase, Boyd, Mixon. They're too good. And by the way, the Jets are too competent that Joe Burrow is going to have to throw in this one. I'm keeping it open on Joe Burrow as a top 12 play this week.
Yeah, and to your point, the Jets, by DVOA, they have the worst pass defense in the league. By PFF, they're 29th for pass coverage grade, so they're not a good passing defense. But the offense for the Jets has been surprisingly very competent and very solid. So
Jacoby Brissett had a good game against the Jets last week. Jacoby Brissett put up numbers.
Exactly.
Amari Cooper put up numbers against the Jets.
Yep.
So, like, if the Jacoby Brissett Amari Cooper connection can get it done against the Jets, I have to believe the Burrow to Chase and Higgins can also get it done. When we return, Jay Croucher.
Yes, Matthew Berry.
I'm going to drink more. And we'll talk about football or something. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.